Hello and happy Masters of the Universe Day, April 28th. It's Masters of the Universe Day. And since I already went through my favorite episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I was left in a pickle to pick the worst of the worst. The worst episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Yeah. We are going to be seeing a lot of. We are going to be seeing plenty from season 1, plenty from season 2. I really had to think this one through and really tried to pick as many even honorable, even dishonorable mentions from both seasons. It meant that I had to be a little extra generous to some of season 2's episodes, and I really had to use a more critical lens on season 1. And I believe I finally have it to the point where there are just as many episodes in both columns, and I'm pretty sure I actually did end up picking 5 from season 1 and season 2. Yeah. Going to be seeing a lot of trolling nonsense going on here. A lot of trolling nonsense, because a huge part of the problem, of one of the few problems that He-Man and the Masters of the Universe had, is they did not know how to treat Orko. Anyway, on with the worst episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Yeah, that sort of did deserve the imitation of the sped up sound from the DVDs. Anyway, number 10, the defection from season 1. There's a defection. Sibylline the Sorceress wants to do good. 75% of the episode is Orko going, good guys are good, bad guys are bad. There's no changing. He says right in front of Prince Adam, who happens to be He-Man's secret identity. If he had just said this once or twice, it would have probably... It would have been fine, but he just had to hammer the point home about 10, 20 times the entire episode. The good guys are good, the bad guys are bad. It was 80s animation. He kind of had a point. But no, Sibylline the Sorceress was actually trying to do good. Where this episode also falls short is the presence of Gorgon. I mean, he's this little creature who looks like He-Man could punt him off of Eternia, and that'd be the end of it. End credits. And his magic wand is a back scratcher. This episode is kind of saved by Evil Lynn serving a third-party one-shot villain. It's saved by Evil Lynn's presence. She wants to take Sibylline's spot as the evil sorceress. And it works. But other than that, yeah, the defection is pretty terrible. It includes a scene where Adam has to become He-Man to save Orko from drowning, as if Orko is not as if Orko doesn't know how to fly. And as if today the power sword's going to turn him into Aquaman. Number 9, the Star Child. The Star Child is a magical, child. She's a magical girl who is being treated like a pawn between the cave dwellers and the tree people. I mean, she's just a child. I mean, albeit she's a child with a very special gift, very special power. This power causes her to glow like a little firefly when she's around people she likes. And in case those people she likes and trusts in the same glow. When she is not using said power to throw projectiles at the heroes of Eternia because she is running around the royal palace playing hide and seek. Okay. Albeit they took her to the royal palace for safety, and then all of a sudden the representatives of the cave people and the tree people and cave dwellers, the representatives of the tree people and cave dwellers showed up at the royal palace right after He-Man had specifically taken her there for safety. She freaked out. She started running around the royal palace playing a game of hide and seek and actively trying to hurt the heroes. What saves this episode is it is the only time the sorceress actually delivered the moral segment. That makes it a classic. The fact that the sorceress is sitting on the throne of Grayskull and delivering us the moral segment about the power of love. Number 8, I really hate to do this. Number 8, here, there, Skeletors everywhere. I hate to do this because I loved this episode when I was 4, 5, and USA Network had picked up the rebroadcast rights for He-Man. I mean, it was a great episode. We got to see Mechanic. We got to see Cyclone. We got to see Cyclone for the first time. Mechanic possibly only for the second. Hold up, I lose track of where Search for a Son, Phil. Yeah, I think Here, There, Skeletors Everywhere was Mechanic's second appearance out of 3. Anyway, we got to see Too Bad. We finally got to see Modulok. And we got to see Skeletor lead a Mattel toy-sized army of other Skeletors. Only to be foiled by He-Man and a couple of clones, also Mattel-sized. Oh boy. And maybe that was the problem with this episode. Maybe. It was Cyclone's first appearance in He-Man, and it was a throwaway appearance. I'm old enough now to understand that in his first appearance, he got approximately 5 seconds worth of dialogue, and what we saw was him in chains for a moment. Too Bad in Modulok. Modulok screeched as if he was a shadow beast, and that's all we saw out of him. Too Bad didn't even say a word. And I still don't understand the purpose of Man-at-Arms creating the duplicating machine in the first place so that it could fall into Skeletor's clutches. Oh, and the older I get, the more obnoxious the Skeletoids sounded in their speech. This is the whole debacle of Here, There, Skeletors Everywhere was capped off by the appearance of Jova and the Witnesses. It's He-Man and the Three Bears. I mean, oh dear. Not only is it He-Man and the Three Bears, but Jova, Gina, and Jade looked like the Care Bears characters that Nelvana rejected and handed straight over to Filmation. Oh dear. All right. That was a childhood favorite by mind you. Here, There, Skeletors Everywhere. All right. Number 7, The Return of Orko's Uncle. Spydra and Azrog. That's where this episode fails. That and Montork had one good appearance in Orko's favorite uncle. Then Spydra and Azrog came along for the return of Orko's uncle, and the villains are where this episode fails. We did get to see if Montork was mind controlled in Orko's favorite uncle, then it was Orko's turn to fall under mind control in the return of Orko's uncle. And that scene where Montork helps Orko break the spell is this episode's saving grace, and why it should have ever been taken off the cutting room floor. Speaking of Montork and his terrible episodes, number 6, Trouble in Tralla. An upstart Trollan called Snoob unseats Montork as the head of the Academy of Magic. He does so with the help of Whiplash so he can teach Whiplash to be a magician. I kid you not. Whiplash wants to practice magic now. It wasn't even Evil Lyn. It wasn't Skeletor. It was Whiplash. The return of Montork, let alone another visit to Tralla, should not be on a worst episodes list. Montork never got that strong of an episode. I'm sorry. In the case of Driel, she at least received the Dawn of Dragoon. In the case of Granomir, we got the Dragon's Gift and Disappearing Dragons. And I personally loved the return of Granomir. But Montork, never my favorite character. And in my opinion, never had a grand standout episode. The closest he came was, once again, the return of Orko's uncle. I mean, Orko's favorite uncle. Excuse me. These episodes were produced out of order. They were broadcast in the right order, and And now I'm getting mixed up. Thank you, DVDs. Where were we? Number 5. Damar the Demon. We're going back to season 1. This is the first time that Orko was really written like a petulant child, and that is the problem with how some of the writers treated Orko. Let alone his magic goofs up on Eternia, but we all understand that. His magic messes up on Eternia. He's a powerful wizard in Trala, where things are backwards. I can understand that. I can overlook that. Writing Orko like a petulant, spoiled child is why so many people dislike him as a sidekick. And Damar the Demon may be the earliest instance of doing so. I mean, Orko wants a playmate, so he uses his magic to remove Damar, a baby demon, from a book, from his magic book. Not long after, spectral forces settle over Eternia, prompting Prince Adam to wonder since when was the royal palace haunted. And then pretty soon this energy is not only over Randor's palace, it's over Snake Mountain as well, which invokes Skeletor and Evil Lyn to chase Damar. Damar the infant spins a cocoon. Damar the demon emerges. This giant, powerful demon that Skeletor wants so badly is defeated by a pep talk about love and friendship. And the rainbow over the royal palace just caps off just how ridiculous this episode was. At number 4, we have Monster of the Mountain, aka The Tingler. Great standout episode for Orko and Cringer. The Tingler, alias Herman the Hermit. Seriously, this is what Filmation considered comedy. Herman the Hermit was not that bad of a guy. The townspeople of Ruxtown were almost as obnoxious as Gaston and the villagers from Beauty and the Beast. The people of Ruxtown are what make this episode fail. And at number 3, here we go. Number 3. And I really hate to do this, because I loved renting this tape when I was little, because at the time I loved both of the episodes on it. Clocking in at number 3 to break the bottom 3 episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Driel's Return. Again, I was about 3, maybe 4, and renting this tape all of the time because of how strong I considered this episode. Clawful's debut made him a strong and competent villain. That, and I didn't see any of Clawful's other episodes until the advent of DVD, so as far as I knew, he was here and gone and was already calling the shots, and was already a far stronger villain to me than Skeletor. The Horn of Evil was also a great plot device, or what could have been great, but, and here's where this episode begins to fail. The big bad Horn of Evil also obligingly handed out its weakness. It obligingly handed its weakness to Orko and Driel. That, too, is not this episode's lowest point. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Yuckers. Even at 3-4 years old, I hated Yuckers. I got to do that to my favorite villain, Yuckers. Really? Why you got to do that, buddy? But hey, at least Driel's little brother was the absolute worst offense of this episode. Am I right? Am I right? This song's really bad. Oh. Yeah, that. Number 2. Trouble's middle name. The prankster has got to be the only Trollin more obnoxious than Yuckers is. That and Trouble's middle name, the dialogue between the heroes really failed them. It really failed the Temple of the Sun's appearance in this episode really betrayed just how great the temple was. The absolute worst offense happened to the character of Negator. Negator in Game Plan was a far better villain than Skeletor. I loved his appearance in Game Plan, and I was insulted on his behalf by his appearance in Trouble's middle name. Yeah, there's that. A lot of these episodes I also did not see until the advent of DVD, so it's probably just hearing these episodes with the sped up voiceovers and sped up soundtrack that makes them sound worse than they really are. Trouble's middle name is one of those that I didn't see until the advent of DVD. So then I watched it on the Blu-rays, and it's not any better at its normal broadcast speed. Trust me. Number 1. I haven't addressed this yet. I have not addressed the most egregious offense to Eternian mythos yet. You know it's coming. I have not name dropped. I haven't name dropped this episode yet, so you know it's out there somewhere. Yeah, I have not personally talked about. But let's get through some honorable mentions first. Yep. From season 1, we've got Heart of a Giant, She-Demon of Phantos, Quest for the Sword, The Once and Future Duke. Personally, Song of Selice I didn't care for. And Tila's Trial. Of all these, Tila's Trial was my favorite of these dishonorable mentions. But The book spotlighting the episodes and rating them had a great point that it wrote everyone completely out of character. From season 2, we've got The Attorney Flower, The Rarest Gift of All, Fisto's Force, Orko's New Friend, Beauty and the Beast, Bitter Rose, and The Gambler. The Gambler, in which a small widget called Smudge had to learn when to hold them, when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. I thank you. Number 1. The lowest of the low of Eternian lore. The great Season 2's the great I can't. The greatest show on Eternia. The greatest offense to ever come to Eternia, and they call it the greatest show on Eternia. A circus lands on Eternia, and Skeletor is throwing a temper tantrum that they won't perform at Snake Mountain. Now, Season 2 really did Skeletor and the Evil Warriors dirty when writing their personalities. This episode just takes the cake. We had Skeletor and He-Man fighting each other on flying trapezes. Skeletor, in defeat, was scared of the villagers after he tried to cancel the circus. And we had Skeletor with his head stuck in a wall to capsize the episode. Crackers the Clown and not Myrtle, but Crackers the Crown. Crackers the Clown. And that little cuckoo bird in his pocket were just absolutely obnoxious. I'm sorry. The moral segments on these episodes could be hit or miss, and this one should have been never bring a circus to Eternia. It will not work out well. And then in The Way You Are, they tried to bring a circus to Etheria for pretty much similar results. At least when the carnival came to Eternia in... Oh, good grief. Well, at least when the carnival came to Eternia, it was just a subplot to capture Cringer and lure He-Man out, and it made for a far stronger episode. A beastly sideshow, that's it. That's the last you're going to be hearing about a beastly sideshow about on a list of the worst episodes. Anyway, I'm Kent Brindley. These were the worst episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, thereby cementing that even He-Man made mistakes. These are the scripts that deserved a He-Man punch in the face, a Super Sunday punch, if they were actual villains. Sometimes you just have to weep for the episodes that made it off the cutting room floor and onto air, even in the greatness that was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I'm Kent Brindley. Happy Masters of the Universe Day to you and yours. See you later.